Hey boys and girls, Mr. Soccer here. Going to talk about histograms. It's our next CK12 assignment. Histogram is a type of bar graph in which the bars represent numerical intervals. Each interval must be the same size and there can be no gaps between them. In this histogram, there are 5 equal intervals of 10 minutes each. Okay, so let's take a look at a histogram. Well, just like all graphs, you have to make sure that you label the graph, or in this case, label our histogram. All right, in this case, we have time, which you should feel very comfortable putting on the x-axis because we talk about 99.9% of the time is going to be on the x-axis. And don't forget to label the y, in this case with frequency, and of course, very important, you need a title. All right, well, let's take a closer look here at a histogram. So first thing that I notice, if you compare this to a bar graph, is that these bars need to touch. Where if you remember with a bar graph, there's individual bars. In this case, they touch. Also, if you notice with a histogram, you need intervals, and they must be the same size. Meaning, if you're going to have intervals of 10 minutes, each one needs to be 10 minutes. So how do you read this? Well, if this was a homework assignment, between 0 and 9 minutes, it took 5 students between 0 and 9 minutes to complete the homework assignment. Let me ask you a question. How many students did it take 30 to 39 minutes to complete the homework? If you said 4, you're absolutely correct. So remember, with a histogram, the bars need to touch, very important. You need to have intervals, and depending on the size of your data set, will determine the size of your interval. If you have a very large data set, a large range, remember we talk about range, maximum value minus minimum value. If you have a large range, obviously your intervals are going to be larger. And don't forget the label. Title, don't forget title. All right, let's take a look at another one. Here we have winning scores in the first round of the basketball tournament. Again, when you have, this is your data set, you need to find the greatest or the maximum value and the minimum value. And that will help you determine the size of your interval for your histogram. But before you can make your histogram, you need to make a frequency table to organize your data. And I decided to do 10-point intervals here, 50 to 59, and so on. I get my tallies, and then I just get the frequency. And then from here, I can make my histogram. First thing I want to make sure I do is label, which you see I did. And then we have our intervals. Again, I had 10 points, so I made sure each interval was 10 points. And then the frequency up the y-axis. And again, the bars need to touch. All right, let's take a look at your CK12 assignment. Okay, you're going to, again, it's histograms, and you're also going to review dot plots as well. So the first activity is how do you travel? Meaning different ways that you and your friends travel to and from school. And there's 3 different ways they represented this data. First, they had a data table. They represent it as a bar chart or bar graph. And then they have represented as a dot plot. With this activity, after you look at the 3 different representations, you need to answer the question in 1 or 2 sentences would be fine. Which type of representation demonstrated in the interactive do you think is best to organize and display the different ways that you and your friends travel to and from school? Be sure to answer in complete sentences and think through your response before typing it in. Again, this is more what you think. So kind of a personal preference. And of course, just make sure that you defend it with some sort of reasoning or evidence. All right, next we're going to talk about a frequency table. It's going to give you an example of a frequency table. Then it's going to give you what a histogram is, so read through this again, and an example of a histogram. Remember, bars touch, and we have intervals. Make sure they're the same size. And then you're going to review a dot plot. Just going to scroll down here. You're going to make a frequency table. And I'm just going to come down to another activity that we haven't done yet. Here, how many teenagers at this school? You're going to complete the activity and follow-up questions on this interactive Plix. So you're just going to launch it, and it's going to take you to an interactive part of CK12. And here, you're going to make a frequency table and a histogram, and then you're going to answer questions. Well, I'll kind of show you real quick. Well, we have a frequency of 4, so we already have 2 tallies. How many more tallies do we need to put? You are correct, 2. Good job. And I'm going to drag 2 up here. All right, perfect. And there's 4. Now, age 13, there's 10. So instead of dragging 10 individual tallies up here, you can kind of just grab 5, grab 5 again, and then you're at 10. And you can do the same with 7 and then 2. For 7, obviously you can grab 5 and then 2 individual ones. And then when you're done here, you're going to make your histogram. 12, there was 4. 13, there was 10. Bars touch, notice. Now I'm going to stop there, and then you're going to answer 5 questions based off your histogram and your frequency table. Okay? And then when you're done, you just go back to your CK12. And then there's more activities for you to do. Okay, this is a little bit longer than the dot plot lesson. And then, of course, remember this, just kind of review here, read this real quick in the bullets, and then you go to the review practice and answer your 10 questions. Okay? Make sure when you're done, after you complete it, now let me backtrack for a second here. On all those interactive activities, they will not save for you. So remember where you left off if you come back at a later point and just pick up right there. With the practice questions, if you had done and you're not completed yet, when you go back, it will pick up where you left off. Okay, but when you are done, say you got 10 questions correct, you just hit done. And then, as it thinks here, okay, you're going to have right up here where it says, would you like to assign this? Right here, this is the teacher version here. You're going to have in yellow, you're going to have turn in. So make sure you turn in the assignment when you're completed. Okay, remember Tuesday and Thursday, I have my help sessions, 10:30 to 11:30. So if you have any questions with your CK12, come on and we can talk about it and I can give you some assistance. All right, good luck with this. It is due Wednesday, April 29th, and talk to you soon.